My favorite comedies in the world, frankly, are existentialist comedies, and I want to talk about three today that I really, really, really enjoy, ending with my favorite existential comedy of all time. All right? Number one, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I am talking about the 2004 edition that with Sam Rockwell and Zoe Deschanel and all those fucking people. I really enjoyed this movie. Now, I have heard countless times and from many different people that the books are better and that, the old British series is better and stuff like that, which I do not deny or confirm, frankly, as I have seen or read neither. Although, as I am filming this video, I do think that I should check out the books. I think I would enjoy the shit out of them. But, at any rate, conceptually, it's so great, and it comes to that, so often reached conclusion that there kind of is no answer, per se, to us. I mean, it's not that there isn't an answer, but there's no answer that's obtainable to the human race. We have to kind of go on what we have. We have to be kind of comfortable in our insignificance, and we have to fucking, sort of just make the best world that we can within our own species of creatures in this universe. So, brilliant movie, it really does poke fun on it, at existentialism, and it's a lot of fun, and everybody in the movie really puts their all into it, and like a lot of the ideas that are explored, even like that sort of like British absurdist humor, which quite frankly I think works well, the best even, arguably, with existentialist humor, which actually brings me to my second movie, which is Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. I fucking love Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Honestly, of the trilogy, well, it's not necessarily a trilogy because they technically did a movie called And Now for Something Completely Different, which was essentially just like a bunch of like their hit skits from their show, like redone and put into a movie. And then was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, then Life of Brian, then The Meaning of Life. The Holy Grail is usually people's like most favorite of any of them. And I'm not talking shit about it. It's a fucking great movie. The Killer Rabbit, The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, The Black Knight. Everything about that movie is great. But The Meaning of Life, apart from the fact that it sort of returns the whole Monty Python thing like to the beginning where it's sort of like sketches, it's not like really one linear story that you follow from beginning to end. It's more skits, kind of like their show, but it's all skits that have to do with the meaning of life. And it is that sort of British absurdist humor with like an intellectual undertone, kind of similar to South Park. South Park, on the surface, doesn't resemble Monty Python, but it really is the same kind of like satirical humor. That's how I feel about Monty Python. And The Meaning of Life is great because it approaches what anybody could really perceive as the meaning of life from a bajillion different perspectives, and religions and just like everything. It's beautiful. It makes you laugh. If you're in a bad mood and you're sort of like, what does this all mean? Like, you could sit down and watch it. And this is why I love existential comedies. To me, they are like literally the epitome of comedy. Like, there is nothing better, even like great comedians and stuff like that. Like, when they joke about something and people laugh, when they are truthfully funny, they are relatable. The most funny things are relatable. People will laugh just on principle. Like, like, I know how that is. I get it. Yo, holy shit. I go through that every day. I thought I was the only one, And it helps people to kind of get through the, like, day-to-day, like, rigmarole by understanding that there are other people out there who are going through the exact same thing. And it makes us feel like a little bit less alone. And therein lies existential comedies and why I think that they're absolutely fantastic. Now, I've touched on the first two, but the third one that I want to bring up, it also falls on my top 10 list of just favorite movies ever, and that is The Men Who Stare at Goats. Now, if you guys have never seen that movie, I get being off-put by the title. Trust me, I really do. It does sound like a gay porn. Like, it's like the men who stare at goats. It's like, it's based on a book by the same title. I have the book, and actually I really should read it because I hear it's actually quite different. But the movie itself is just so uplifting. It's so great on a comedic level, on a philosophical level. It covers all... It even like mostly has to do with the military. So it doesn't like... disinclude anyone. It's not like, there's right-wing perspective, there's left-wing perspectives, and then there's just sort of like this balance in the center, the general, the Jedi, as they say in the movie. And I think that it's no coincidence that they cast Ewan McGregor to play one of the main characters. But he was great. George Clooney was great. Kevin Spacey's a fucking dick, and I hate him, but he plays a bad guy in this movie, so it makes it only easier to hate him now knowing what we know. Fuck Kevin Spacey. But still, a very effective villain. And then you have, Jeff Bridges, who also is just brilliant. And it takes this, idea, it sort of delves into, psychic, people being psychic or being able to, access, another plane. And it's sort of, funded by the government. And there's a lot of the story that claims to be true, or at least based on truth, because they even say that the whole Jedi Academy was kept open by Ronald Reagan, who was both a fan of the Star Wars films and also a fan of the occult and the supernatural. So some of this, a very, 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 very mild amount of it might be based on truth, but it also explores the human condition. Ewan McGregor is a broken man in this movie. His fucking wife left him for his editor, and he's just the whole reason why he goes on this mission is because he's trying to make something of himself. He wants to go into Iraq. He wants to go into the danger zone, into a fucking war zone, to get a really good story so that he can become this influential big figure, in public society, and prove to his wife that, he's a worthy human being, that he's a worthy partner. And it's hopeless. And he meets George Clooney's character, who is supposed to be one of these, Jedi, who used to work for a secret sect of the United States government. And, the two of them, their journey through the desert and going back in time and sort of revisiting how the Jedi came to be, which is basically most of the scenes with Jeff Bridges and stuff like that. Along their journey to how the movie ends, which, by the way, the ending to this movie is great. It puts the biggest smile on my face, and it doesn't answer anything. It really doesn't. If you're expecting to watch this movie and be enlightened or anything like that, you will be, but you'll be enlightened as much as a human being can be enlightened. The ending is still very you don't quite know what's going on, but you're just happy. And that's why this is on my top 10 list. If I'm in a bad mood, the worst mood that I have ever been in my life, I was introduced to this movie. I was going through a really, really, really bad time. And right from the opening, I identified with it, and the movie had my full attention. And as it went on, I was able to laugh at myself, and I thought that it was fucking amazing. The ability to laugh at yourself, and the ability to laugh at just everything, just life in general. That's what this movie allows you, and that's why I think that it's so brilliant. It touches on so many human emotions, but it's even their journey through the desert and stuff like that. And George Clooney's perspective, he says listen, he goes your life, it's like a river, okay? He goes and you gotta just sort of you can choose where you go, but you have to ride on that current. You have to go where the river takes you. He goes because if you don't, if you try to push for something that you weren't meant to accomplish, you're always gonna be swimming against the current. And it really does give you sort of an almost kind of comforting view on fate, and just, it's a very, very deep movie, but at the same time, it's a very absurdist movie. And I think that when dealing with existentialism, if you are going to do an existential comedy, you should kind of go with the absurd. You should try to focus on what you can laugh at about it, because otherwise it's going to be kind of dark, dreary, and depressing. And these are just three. I mean, I'm not saying they're the three ultimate. They were just the three that came to mind right now: Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Monty Python's Meaning of Life, and The Men Who Stare at Goats. And there have been some existential comedies that have been good, just not that good, like Jeff Who Lives at Home, and then there have been some that kind of fail a little bit, in my opinion, like I Heart Huckabees. And I'd be interested to see anybody's opinion on that, because I thought that movie was pretentious as fuck. I thought that fell in the fucking list of early 2000s movies that were just trying to be artsy and relevant, and were just fucking pretentious, frankly. If you guys have seen any of the three of those movies, I would absolutely love to hear what you had to think of any of them. You know, even debate me if you have a challenge, because especially as far as Monty Python is concerned, I could definitely understand. Be like, dude, you didn't like Holy Grail better? Like, okay, all right, there are arguments for that. You're not going to change my opinion, but I would be more than happy to discuss it with you. So, you know, at any rate, that's my video for today. Take it easy, guys. Laters on the Menjay, as Paul Rudd would say. And I feel just as awkward as he said in that movie when he said it. So I'm going to leave that in this video. All right. Bye.